going even further out, talking about Uranian energy. And there's like a few points that I want to highlight about Uranus and why some of its characteristics and traits may manifest the way that it does. Let's talk about the attribute of weird or eccentric that is often attributed to Uranian energy signatures. By actually taking a look at some astronomy, which just a quick history lesson, used to be intertwined with astrology. See, astronomy and astrology, once upon a time, they went hand in hand. So to study one of them, you were to study both of them, okay? To study astronomy, that meant you were studying astrology. Or to study astrology, you were studying astronomy. This is a recent development where these two sciences have been separated. And one has been classified as relevant, while the other has been classified as a pseudoscience. But that's neither here nor there. When we look at the actual astronomy of the way that these planets are rotating and are tilted out actually in space, we'll notice that the Earth is tilted at 23.5 degrees, okay, on its axis, while Uranus is tilted at 98 degrees. Did you just hear that? Do you hear the difference in degrees right there? How much is that? That's like 75-degree difference in the tilt. Check my math. I think that's 75 degrees difference, right? So, being that Uranus is at a different angle versus us here on Earth, Uranus gets to look at things from a different view, from a different perspective, just naturally. Uranus' natural stance, its natural tilt of 98 degrees is already allowing you to see things from a different angle. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So that means you have to have maybe like a basic working knowledge of mathematics. Have you ever shot pool before, like the game pool? Depending on one's angle, depending on one's position, you see what I mean, will determine what you get to see and how much you get to see. So Uranus motto is I know. That's the motto for Uranus, or belay my last, Aquarius. Aquarius's motto is I know. And Uranus is the co-ruler of Aquarius. And I'm over here breaking down how is it that Aquarius knows what it knows. It is my theory, my thesis, that the reason why Uranian energy may pick up on things that others may not be able to is because it naturally, astronomically, is positioned in a different degree, at a higher degree at that. I told you we're at a 23.5 degree tilt versus Uranus at a 98 degree tilt. So because of that difference of degrees is allowing Uranus to see things at a different capacity, at like a different viewpoint, from a different angle. So what does that mean for you, the person watching this video? If you were to locate where Uranus, the planet Uranus, is in your natal chart, that is going to tell you where you are naturally inclined to see things from a different angle and from a different perspective when in comparison to your peers, when in comparison to people on your group level, your peer level. Do you understand what I'm saying? Why? It's because you're at a different position. You're able to tap into a different angle versus the 23 degrees that everybody else has access to, who doesn't have that placement, who doesn't share the same placement that you do within your natal chart. And not only the same placement, but the same degree, the same decan. I mean, it goes so deep, but this is just like a framework, a working framework, so that you can build upon this theory that I'm putting down, okay? And also, while we're talking about the word weird, because that's an attribute that's often attributed to Uranian energy, to Aquarian energy, it's weird. And I want all of you to know, because I'm a lover of words and I'm into etymology, and I looked up the etymological roots for the word weird. And what's so interesting about it is that a person who is weird has the ability to change fate. I'm going to say that one more time. A person who is weird, the word weird, the etymological root, that means you got to go back to the origin of the word. You're going to find out that weird actually means the ability to change fate. So let's start taking that as a compliment. We already mentioned with the myth of Prometheus in part 1 that Aquarians, Uranians have the ability to have foresight, foreknowledge, foreknowing. How does one gain foreknowledge, foresight, foreknowing? This is a good question. And with working with Saturn, who's also the traditional ruler of Aquarius, I've been tapping into some time magic. And here's what I've learned based off of my personal experimentation, is that one method that can be used to grant somebody foreknowledge and forewisdom and foresight is to have hindsight, okay? To have a background knowledge, to have an understanding of the patterns and the trends that have already taken place. What am I trying to say here? What are you saying? I'm saying that if you want to have a better understanding of the future, one method you can use is gaining a better understanding of your past. You see, a lot of people automatically, when they think of Aquarius, they automatically think futuristic, not realizing that traditionally Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn, who is a traditionalist, old school, ancient, wise one type of energy. So Aquarius is able to be so revolutionary and innovative and creative because it naturally already has a thorough understanding, knowledge, okay, of the past as its basic starting point. If you can understand the past patterns and trends, of course you're going to be in a better position to predict the future. Of course. If you can pick up on what the ancestors already knew, that hell, to this day, 2022, we still trying to work out how some of our ancestors knew what they knew. Now, let's fast forward and bring it to present day. If you can get an understanding of history, that's why history is an important study. I recommend that anybody who's into metaphysics or the occult get a good understanding of history. Why? Because you're getting to learn the patterns and the cycles of time, the cycles that humanity has went through over the course of time, which then helps you to start singling out and being able to identify patterns and trends. Are you like, this is Uranian information right here that I'm giving. And when you're able to do that, you may be able to recycle something that may actually be quite ancient, but do it in a method, in a means that's keeping up with modern time. Do it in such a manner in which it's fresh and feels like new, when really you just building upon what the ancestors already knew. Okay? So these are just some more insights on Uranian energy and how Uranus gathers and has an understanding of the knowledge that they have. Remember, wherever Uranus is placed in your natal chart, that's where you're naturally granted by birth the ability to see something from a higher degree and from a different angle. And I'm equating this because I have a law of the universal laws. I have an understanding of the universal laws. And the law of correspondence says, as above, so below. So if Uranus is tilted at a 98 degree angle on its axis up above, that That means down here below, wherever Uranus is placed in our natal chart, we also are gaining a perspective from the 98th degree on a tilted axis versus the 23 and a half degree tilted axis that we have here on Earth. Okay? Study some astronomy, study some history. I already told y'all earlier, study some mythology. I'm over here sharing my knowledge, sharing my light, and I'm giving you like the how-to steps on how you can start decoding astrology for yourself. You see, astrology isn't just something that you just pick up and you think you automatically just want to know it and master it overnight. No, astrology is really like a lifelong, evolving study that encompasses all of the information of the cosmos. All of it. Signing in, out, above, beyond, below, beneath, underground, all around, uptown, downtown, midtown. Here, there, anywhere, everywhere, nowhere.